Hello, people. Another beautiful day. Yeah. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good. So Microsoft and Linux are friends, huh? Microsoft gave 10,000 to Gnome. I was sitting there wondering if it was the Steam Deck, but maybe it's because of the Steam Deck, but I guess not. Listen to this. It says here, Microsoft give 10K to Gnome for being awesome. Basically. It says here, well, let me stress before anyone get their undies in a twist, there aren't any strings attached to this. Nothing being acquired or embraced. Said instead, Microsoft employees chose Gnome to be the latest recipient of the Microsoft FOSS Fund, aka Slush Fund. It says an initiative the software giant has run for a couple of years. It set up the funds, provide 10,000 sponsorship to open source projects as a part of an effort to give back to the communities and projects its employees rely on in their work. It says here that the one-time enemy of open source is keen to position itself as BFF with community-based software efforts. Linux in particular isn't new, of course, but neither is it entirely fake. No, it ain't. Linux ain't fake. Linux been real, and I'm a Linux user myself. Anyway, it says here, these days Microsoft is a key member of many leading open source organizations. Thanks to Linux, open source, they started it. Directly contribute to Linux kernel and even maintain its own Linux distribution. Microsoft needs Linux. Ain't that sweet? What is the Microsoft FOSS Fund, aka Slush Fund? Says here, each month Microsoft lets its employees nominate open source projects used by the company but not owned by, in parentheses, anyone at it. To be eligible, project needs to have an OSI approved license and a way to process the funds. The nomination process is open to all Microsoft employees and interns and a curation group. The open source champs help to get each fund nominee together. Some funding rounds may have a particular theme, and every funding round will have from 5 through 20 nominated projects or so. The fund GitHub, what else, that's in parentheses, says, page explain. At the end of the selection process, there's a vote, and the winning project gets a 10K boost, typically offered as $1,000 a month for 10 months. As a senior programmer manager at Microsoft, Emma Irving reveals on Twitter, the Gnome project is the latest recipient. Previous winners of Microsoft FOSS funding include System Curl, QEMU, and OpenStreetMap. Says Gnome benefiting from the Microsoft FOSS fund is a pretty big endorsement. Not only is the project an important part of the open source landscape, as we all know it, but it turns out it's an important one in the open source landscape at Microsoft too. And even if you don't want to give Microsoft as a hulking giant corporative mass any credit on a human level, it's nice that Microsoft employees feel Gnome is deserving. Yeah, Linux was always giving Microsoft competition, no matter how you want to cut it or slice it. You know, Linux was more open source and more user friendly. Yeah, that's just me because I use Linux a lot. And but I think Microsoft saw the potential with Linux, so they decided to hop on board. You know, because Linux was like steps and light years, like steps ahead of them in a lot of areas. And the thing about the open source, you know, like any programmer who write good apps can write to Linux. You know, join the community, right? Help build the Linux community. You know, so Microsoft saw the potential and was like, hey, why not? You know, and not only that, they started to like try to add features to Windows like how Linux would do it. So Linux was always a step ahead of Windows, you know, in some areas. So Microsoft saw an opportunity and said, okay, if we can't beat you, we're gonna join you. So, yeah. But this this open source, you know, Microsoft and Linux working together is a good thing for the tech world. You know, keep things moving, even though they're competitors to one another. You know, and I mean, every Linux person know what Gnome is. Every Linux person know what a terminal is. So, yeah. This open source, this FOSS fund, you know, it's about creating programs, you know, for like curl, QEMU, and OpenStreet, you know, and based on the amount of based on the projects. So everybody gets 1,000 a month. You know, 1,000. It's 10,000, but you get 1,000 a month. It's not like you're getting 10,000 a month, but you're getting 10,000, but it's spread out with over 10 months based on the projects. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Windows and Linux, huh? give 10,000 to Gnome. Why the change of heart? Why the change of heart, Microsoft? Anyway, nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars and Star Trek thing, or Dark Side. Peace.